Hello and welcome everybody. I'm Phil Grove and I've got a really good case study that I'm going to share with you today. And I call today's video, Pigs Get Fat and Hogs Get Slaughtered. And I recently sold a property and I'm holding a copy of my check. Let's see if I can hold it up to the thing. There's me and there's the check. And you can see it's a check for over $700,000. That's right. I recently flipped a property and I actually made over $700,000 profit, which is a lot of profit. It's about as big of a residential real estate deal as I do. So I'm pretty excited. That's better than a poke in the eye with a stick. I'm pretty excited. I just made over $700,000 flipping a property. So let me tell you about this property, and let me tell you about a very valuable lesson that went along with this property. So I found a property, and the property was owned by a holding company, an out-of-state holding company that had liquidated a bunch of lots here in Central Texas where I live, and then they sold them off all individually. This was kind of the last lot they had left, and it was kind of a leftover piece of land. They had sold all the other properties around it, and they had this one lot left, and they had mismarketed the lot. It was being advertised as a half-acre lot, but I could tell just by looking at it that it wasn't a half acre. In fact, they had a road on one side and a road on the other side, and then it had a house over here, and then it had some waterfront, on the other side. So reasonably speaking, I knew where the property lines for the property were, and when I walked it off, it was very obvious to me that this was about an acre and not half an acre. So I bought the property at $285,000, which was a great deal. And then I did, amazingly, can you believe it, a survey. And sure enough, after we got the survey done, it was a approximately 1 acre lot, which is exactly what I knew that it was going to be. I actually got the survey done before we closed, but I knew what it was. So I got this thing for a pretty good price. It had one other little issue with it, besides misplatting the size of the lot. They had also had an easement on the lot that was misplatted into the wrong location. So I hired a land development consultant to get the easement moved to where it was logically intended to be. That made the property more developable and optimally buildable, I guess you could describe it as. So I ended up buying something that was kind of a leftover property from an out-of-state holding company. I made a couple of simple improvements to it by properly platting it, surveying it, and getting an easement moved so that the house could be put in a better location on the lot. And those improvements took that property value up to somewhere between $1.2 and $1.5 million. So now I own a property that's worth between $1.2 and $1.5 million. Not a bad day. But here's what happened. Along comes deal number 2. And lo and behold, believe it or not, I have another opportunity to make another $700,000. But what's the catch? I've got my capital tied up in this first project. Now, to make things a little more complex, I had also gotten a loan from a bank to buy this property. And for reasons that are beyond my understanding, the bank was saying we want our money back from the loan. And the reason we want our money back from the loan is we're not any longer doing land loans. We're only doing house loans. This property didn't have a house on it, so the bank was basically saying they wanted to get their money back from the loan. So I needed to get that property sold. And I decided, because I had a second opportunity and a little pressure from this lender, I decided what I wanted to do was to do a pretty quick sale on the property. Now, the property is worth about $1.5 million. So I called some other investors in town and I said, look, I've got this great property, optimal, waterfront, worth $1.5 million. I will quick sale it to you for $700,000. Now, when somebody offers me a $1.5 million property for $700,000, my usual response is, yes, let me throw some cash in a briefcase and I'll be right over. But interestingly enough, 7 different seasoned cash buyer investors all looked at my offer. And when I offered them 7, what do you think they said? They said, well, would you take 4? Would you take 5? Would you take 6? I said, no, I'm not going to take 4, 5, or 6. This is worth $1.5 million. You can have it for 7. It's a steal of a century, but you got to close immediately. So all I got was a bunch of guys trying to lowball me and kick the tires. I think I finally got one guy up to 650, but even at 650, it just wasn't worth it to me. It just wasn't interesting enough to me. So what I basically did is I said, look, you guys, you're a bunch of idiots. Forget it. I'm taking the property offer back. And I put it on the MLS, and in 30 days, I got an offer for $1 million. Still not full price, but it was a good offer, and I took it and I sold it. So when I sold the property, I made $700,000. Now, what's the lesson here? The lesson is pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered. All of those guys that turned down my $700,000 offer, they all lost an opportunity to make about $300,000 profit in about 30 or 45 days. That's what it took me to sell the property by just selling it on the MLS conventionally. If I held out longer, I might have even sold it for more. I don't know why, but that's so often just the mentality that people have. So I'll give you another example of pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered. And this is one where, it cost me money. Recently, I have a buyer that calls my leads, that negotiates deals for us, and he got an offer, he got a lead, and he negotiated to buy a house. Now, this house would be a great deal at $90,000. It was a great deal at $90,000. But my buyer saw that the seller was very motivated and very excited, and he pushed and pushed and pushed, and he got the seller to agree to take $70,000 for the property. Now, again, pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered. Yes, he bullied him into taking a lower offer, but as soon as he got off the phone with the guy started calling around and shopping our offer with other investors, and lo and behold, some other investor offered him, guess what, $90,000. I lost the deal. I lost a sure thing. That deal would have made me about 30 grand. I lost a sure thing, 30 grand, because I was a hog instead of a pig. I was trying to make 50 grand. You can be a pig. Pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. But if you try to be a hog, you're going to miss on wonderful and amazing opportunities. People say, Phil, how do you do so many different deals? Well, this is one of my secrets. Pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. If the deal is a great deal at $90,000, if the deal is a great deal at $700,000, if the deal's a great deal, don't ever pass on a great deal because you're trying to get an even better deal. So that's my lesson for today. I'm Phil Grove. See you on the next one.